So I open up my Facebook, Fabiana, and it's like I'm on Louis Vuitton bags. So I know that I'm in the right place talking to you.
That's
Okay,
it.
we
Good,
are
good.
live on Facebook. I'm just going to pull up Facebook on my phone so that I can answer any questions that come on while
Mm-hmm.
we are live here as people come on. Um,
Awesome. Sounds good.
yeah, okay, here we go. So, Fabiana, how are you?
I am really well, really, really well. Friday here in Australia, so it's awesome.
Which room of your penthouse are you in right now?
I am in my office.
You're in your office. And where is your office in the penthouse?
It's in the second level of the
Oh,
penthouse.
it's in the second level. People, it's in the second level of the penthouse. Okay. We have people already joining us on Facebook. So if you can drop me a heart or a like, and you guys can ask questions for Fabiana, because I'm going to keep an eye on my phone on the Facebook
Cool.
while I
Cool.
chat with Fabiana. And I was thinking about like, what would be of interest to people? And I know that when I hear stories of, I was struggling, and then I hear, and now I'm in a penthouse, I'm like, what was the blueprint? I want to know, like, A to Z, exactly what happened, right, Tyler? Tyler's watching on Facebook. Like, you want to know, okay, so what exactly did you do? So that's what we're going to go through today, Fabiana, because I think what's great is, first of all, it's happened in a relatively short amount of time.
Yep. Yep.
And if I had told you, Fabiana, you were going to be in a penthouse, a 2-floor penthouse in Brisbane. Now, remember where you were living when we first started working together.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I do.
And I said, and it's going to just happen within what, a few years? Not even?
Yeah, probably a year and a half or
Okay.
so. Yeah.
So it's going to happen within a year and a half.
Yeah.
Would you have believed me?
No, no,
No.
not at
And
all.
I think Fabiana, that's the part that people get tripped up on. Like, how could you be so far from the belief and then have it in a year and a half? So,
Mhm.
guys, this is what we're going to talk about today. So let's go back, Fabiana, and maybe just paint the picture of where you were at when you reached out for us to work together.
Yeah. I at that time I was following you for quite some time, and I knew that I wanted to work with you one-on-one. I
Yeah.
knew that. That was my thing that I made a decision even prior to talking to you. And and at that time I was starting my own business, and I was struggling. I was struggling. I did not have the belief in myself that I could actually launch it. I could actually start doing something. Um, and and I was like, how am I going to reach out to Ina? Because I can't really tell her like I'm struggling.
Really?
I
That
know,
went through your mind?
I know. Yes, it did. It did. This is how much I did not have faith in me, right? This is how much. Yeah, yeah. And you were posting that you wanted to work with people who are earning 20K a month. And I'm like,
Yes.
oh,
Yes, I was doing
how
the
am I going to,
yeah.
yeah. I'm like, how am I going to do this? I'm like, and I started to like really hustle to get contracts. And I had about 3 contracts that were about, you know, taking me about 15K in a month, and it was like not even close, and I was struggling to make it happen. So I said, I'm going to reach out to Ina now and ask her to, if we could work together. And yeah, and you said yes, and we started working. And the
Okay,
first
but whoa. Let's pause here, Fabiana, because you guys have to understand, um, it's more now, but at that time, Fabiana wanted to be a private client. And the reason also was because of the time zone difference. She couldn't have made the calls that I had for groups. So really, in her case, it kind of had to be private if she wanted that high touch experience, because it is high touch in the group, but she couldn't make it into the group. but you were in debt at the time.
Oh, yes. I was in big debt because I was just investing in all different things, trying to make it work. Really, like the operating word here, make it work. You know, I was forcing it to work. And yeah, my husband and I, we were in debt, mostly my dad.
And it was
And
six figures debt.
oh yeah, it was 150,000.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
pause and let the people hear that.
Yes.
Fabiana. So here she is,
My heart.
$150,000 in debt.
Yeah.
So I think this is really huge of you even making the decision to add more debt because you're coming on as a private client.
Yes.
So tell me about the process for you to make the decision to do this with debt, because many people that are listening want to work with me and they've got debt and they feel like I got to clear the debt first and then I can do it.
Yes. Yeah. I, my thought process at the time was that, I was at the bottom and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get myself out of this. I need help. I
Yeah.
had an honest conversation with myself and I'm like, I don't know how to do this. I need someone that I can ask questions and really lean in for advices. And that was my thought process truly, and I was like, look, whatever it takes, I'm going to do it. And it's going to be one more thing that adds to the bag. Literally, I was like, oh my God, how I'm going to do this. But I did it. I said, I'm going to do it. I didn't
Here's
tell anyone though.
here's the funny part, Fabiana. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't
nobody
know.
knew.
I
Nobody
didn't
knew.
know.
No.
When
Mm.
Fabiana signed up, I had no idea
Mm-hmm.
that she signed up with that debt. I had no idea until we were talking. This is now in your penthouse. And you said, oh yeah, when I signed up for you, I had six figures debt. Not
Yeah.
only did you have debt, but you had a young child. How old was your son at the time?
He was probably a year, just turning a year. A
So
year. Yeah.
$150,000 in debt, a baby turning a year, and you have a husband.
Yeah.
So here's also what happens for people, Fabiana. They're like, well, my partner won't let me.
Mm. Yeah.
Did you tell your husband?
No. No. God no. God no. He did not know this.
But he is fine now in the penthouse. He is
Oh
like
yes.
just worked out.
Yes.
Okay, so that's
Yes.
really interesting. That's
Well,
interesting.
it's one of those things. Like I think that I needed to take responsibility for me. That was the decision, right? I understand that sometimes when you're in a relationship in a marriage, you've got to share things, but this one, it was on me. I knew it was on me because it was for me that I was doing. It wasn't for anybody else. And I decided not to tell anybody because I know what Bob says. He says, just, make a decision and do it. And at that point, that was how I was feeling. I just had to do it for me. And that was my decision.
Wow, I think that's incredible.
Mm.
And for you to take 100% responsibility for if this was going to work or not work, it was going to be on you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, and the paradigm around that is very interesting because every time I would look at the bills coming in and the debt, and I, I would just think like I want to get rid of the debt, and I would then remind myself, no, you're not getting rid of the debt. You are making more money. That's what you're going to do. You're not going to get rid of the debt.
Yeah.
And and that's what I kept saying to my husband, like, let's not think about the debt. Let's think about creating more.
Yeah.
And that's how we sort of got rid of the anxiety around debt.
So you changed the way you were thinking about it. And
Yeah.
then did that change the way you were feeling about it?
Yes, absolutely. It wasn't on my mind anymore. It
Yeah.
was, what was on my mind was about creating more for my family, you know, and for myself. And that was the shift that really took place, was a thinking pattern that I used to have about saving money, about, you know, trying to save a buck here and there and to pay the debt, you know, and what was creating was more debt. And I realized this. And the moment that we started discussing, myself and my husband, about, you know, let's not talk about the debt, let's talk about how can we grow ourselves into our business, and everything will follow from there. You know, I trust this is how we're going to do it. And and then we kept insisting in this thinking. Yeah.
So you even took the language out of your vocabulary. Like you made a deal with your husband that we're not even going to use that word.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. Yes. It was a tough conversation to have, because we were quite anxious about it. And but I said to him, like, this is the last time ever we're going to talk about this debt. It was a funny conversation. He was like, "You're crazy." I'm like, "No,
Oh,
listen."
you don't know the half of it.
Yes.
So I think that I just wanted to highlight this because, again, it can feel like, yeah, I was struggling. No, I couldn't have imagined myself in the Penthouse, and then I signed up for you with you. But even the moment of the idea entering your mind of I need help, I'm not going to be able to do this on my own, and the process of going from that to paying the invoice, like that that in of its, you know, it's so interesting because, Fabiana, I think that in of itself, that process right there is a breakthrough.
Yeah. 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 I totally realize this now. That was a huge breakthrough for me at the time. At the time it was really like, it was overwhelming going through it. I had a lot going on, but now that when I look back, and it was an incredible breakthrough, and it was an incredible decision that I made. It was an incredible decision that changed the course of our lives.
Yes, yes, of our lives. So there you are in this, was it a small apartment in Brisbane when we were first working together?
Yes, it was
Yeah.
really tiny, and it was an okay neighborhood, and um, you know, like, I made it nice, you know, but it wasn't nice. It wasn't. It's actually, we had mold in the apartment.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like, it's just crazy, but that's what we were working with at the time. And yeah, so it was an interesting journey. And when I look at pictures of ourselves in the tiny apartment, and the tiny window, like a tiny balcony that we had, it's pretty incredible, the difference.
It's so incredible. And so now you make the decision like, okay, we're not talking, debt is no longer a word used in this home.
Hmm.
And you're focusing on building wealth. So you switch your mindset. You ended up tripling your income.
Yes.
So can you just share a little bit for everybody, like what was that process like? And on Facebook, guys, feel free to ask questions or definitely hit the like and heart so I can know if this is resonating with you. But this is for you. This is for you to know what's possible. So we want to make sure that we're speaking to you. So when you started, can you share a little bit of going from debt to starting to see money flow in?
Yeah. I started to really, so when we started working together, I started to do the gratitude and send love to people, and really dig deeper into the healing part of what I needed to do, like about how I saw things and how I saw other people. And when I started to do this, send love to all the people that I worked with in the past and so on, and then all of a sudden I had like people contacting me, like CEOs wanting to talk to me, and and I was like, whoa, this is strange. This is like, what? And I started to see that happen, and I'm like, oh, this is happening now. And I started to have conversations and really like open myself to different possibilities and start trusting
Mm.
more. Um, and then I started to have meetings, business meetings, and I started to have deals with, with companies that I knew before and that they know me as well.
Tyler on Facebook asked, what caused your debt? What did you do for a living? Like, how did you get into $150,000 worth of debt?
So before I had my son, I was a director at a consultancy firm, but it just wasn't fulfilling my heart. And then I was in a really good income. And then I got out of that work and then I wanted to do something else, but I couldn't really find what that something else was, right? And I wanted to work for myself. And then I started to really stack up debt on, I
Mm.
wanted to like learn how to do marketing. I wanted to learn like all these different things. I was buying like different courses and I was buying like, like all these different things that I wanted to do, but I didn't have the belief in myself. And literally that's what happened, and I started to just like do it and like spending the money, buying this, buying that. But that's how I got into that. Yeah.
So it's
And
interesting because this really speaks to the fact that we are programmed, we want the strategy. So it's
yes,
easy to
yes,
spend money on all of the things, the tactile things. Like I will see a website, I will
yep,
see a logo, I will see all of these things. But you can have the best strategy in the world, but if you don't have the mindset, because our results are 95% mindset, it doesn't matter. So when you start to shift the mindset in our work together,
yeah.
that's when it changed. Oh,
That's it. Yes. I was in the strategy. I was in the mechanics of things, like trying to learn how to do stuff in business and like how to run my own business. And it was so interesting that when I saw your ad for like a business mastermind, and I'm
yeah.
like, and that was it for me. Like that's what triggered like, it's somewhere in my mind. It must be because I'm doing everything else. It ain't happening. So what the heck is it? So and then like I remembered watching Bob and like in knowing that it would come from my mind. It would come from my inside. But yeah, like I think a lot of business spends thousands and thousands of dollars on systems and processes, and it is necessary, but I don't think that is the major expenditure that really should take place. you
So
know
it's interesting because when you started, okay, so first of all, when we started together, you were $150,000 in debt, a small apartment, and then money starts flowing in as you start to release stuff. So did your relationship with money in this work start to change, that you were able to also receive
yeah,
the money as well and be
yeah,
open to receiving?
yes, yeah. My relationship with money changed dramatically. And how I, like, me and money, like we are best friends. We go everywhere together, and it's like, yeah, it's so good. It feels really, really good now to have money, to talk about money. It feels good.
Yeah. So you started to make some money and you are starting to see now changes in the external. So you've been working internally. I know I get this question, how long does it take? And of course, it's different for everybody because
Mm,
it has to do with accepting the belief
mm,
of
yeah.
whatever your goal is and knowing it is possible for you and really accepting that. But how long would you say that it took before you saw the physical manifestations of what you had been dreaming and imaging and desiring?
I would say 2 months. I saw a huge shift. I landed a big contract. Then um, then from there, I would say um, not within 9 months starting the work. I moved into a bigger apartment, like amazing apartment, like
Okay,
incredible.
guys, you got to listen to this. So, like, this is the beautiful thing. I feel like I've just been, when you say that it's been like a year and a half, it's shocking to me because I feel like it's been so much longer. I think because we're programmed to think that this kind of growth is like 20 year. This is a 20-year path that you collapsed into like 18 months. But I remember when you told me about that place. So here's what I want you guys to hear. So we're on a call and she's like, so I think I found a place that we're going to I want to move into, but it's a different neighborhood, like it's a better neighborhood. And then it's got this area that you can come in through the back or the side. So I could have clients come in that way and I can work from home then as well and see clients in my home. And I think in the community there was a pool, if I
Yeah,
remember correctly. Yeah.
yeah,
So there
yeah.
was a pool for your son. And like this is really big because you were also now going to move into a different neighborhood as well.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that decision to move.
Um, it was, we started to feel like, well, actually I had the impulse. I had an impulse because the place was like, I definitely have outgrown the place that we were, the moldy place. My son calls it smelly place.
And would you say that you outgrew it internally? Like you would look around and be like, this isn't
Yeah,
me. Okay.
yeah, yes. And I would come home and I would try to like make it all nice and everything, but it just wasn't fitting anymore. And then I said to my husband, let's start looking at things. Let's put ourselves out there and start viewing some homes and see what we can find. And we started to look, and it just wasn't. We couldn't find anything really that was hitting our heart. And one day we were having lunch, and I just flicked through this the realestate.com, and then this really like odd place came up. Like the pictures were nothing like I just like, oh, we just idling time at the moment. Let's just like I'll call up and see if they can show it to us now. And they did. They were able to show it to us just there and then. So we just drove across the bridge and we went to see the place. And when we got there, it was like, wow, it was just blew our socks off. And my husband was like my son was like, yay, this is a new home. And he was like super excited. And that's how we sort of like, it showed up. And
But hold on, Fabiana. Did you have the money? Okay, when you were looking at homes, were you looking in your price range? Like, did you have the financing set up that you could buy that home right away?
no,
Oh, you
no,
didn't. Okay,
no,
I
no,
I
no.
couldn't remember that part.
No. So at that point, we were just renting there, but it was like a big rent. Like it's nothing like normal rent. It was like super mega rent. And we were like, how are we gonna do this? And I said to my husband, we can do it. We just have to believe we can do it. The money will show up. It'll come up, you know. Um, and yeah, it was the best decision we made. Was like it really helped our self-image, how we feel about ourselves. My husband's business like took off, and everything changed from there.
That's incredible.
Mm.
And so now you're in that place. So I also, what I want you guys to know is that I think it was in our first cycle of working together that you moved into the new place.
Yeah.
In our second cycle of working together. So I just want you to hear that Fabiana has invested in herself 3 times. We've worked together in different ways, and there's always been an investment. Fabiana, what do you think that investing, every time you've invested, it's made a difference in your results?
Oh, absolutely.
How so?
It's I think that this definitely is a psychological thing, because when we invest in ourselves, we take ourselves seriously. We really do. We go like, I'm serious about what I want. I'm gonna be serious now. I'm gonna work on myself. And I think that's like it's the premises of making that investment. And it's for me, like the first time was a huge leap. The second time was like a no-brainer for me. I was like, I know there is more. I know there is more to do, and I want to do more. And it was just like this thing that just I know that there is more, and I need to be challenging myself to ask myself the more questions.
And I love going deep with one mentor, like you going really deep so
Yeah.
that you're not always starting kind of at the beginning again. They know you. So the other thing that I think, so Tony loved what you said. Me and money are best friends and we go everywhere together. I love that, Tony. I love that too. I feel like I need that tattooed somewhere. I have another question. Did your husband wonder about your attitude shift? Did you tell him about your coaching? And what are his thoughts about that now?
He definitely noticed the results, because the incremental
2 months in that
yeah,
started. Yeah.
the incremental shifts are small, like, and then all of a sudden you see it's like, oh, we're in a different place. Because, like external, like they see things from the outside. They don't see what's happening on the inside. And my attitude shifted on the basis that, like, a lot of ground rules at home changed. Like, we don't talk about debt. We don't talk about other people unless it's like really good about other people. Like, we have created these boundaries within our family.
Okay, we need to pause there. Everyone needs to take this in. You created, it sounds like a kind of a mission vision statement for your family, your personal values, what you accept and what you don't. And it feels like it came from being in harmony with your highest self, like in this house. Wow.
Yeah. That was like a huge difference for my husband. And, I think like most people, and we were in the habit of like, sometimes talking about like things that we didn't enjoy at work, or things that we don't enjoy about other people, or like, just like chit chatting. It's part of a chit chat. And one day I said to him, like, how about we've got a son. How about we start shifting this and just really, like, when we're going to talk about someone, we talk about them like in a great aspect, how good they are, like how, did you notice so and so, like they, this and this, like how wonderful is that, how amazing is that our son is not going to have the same, mindset and like paradigms that we were brought up to just talk about what's going wrong.
Yeah.
But let's talk about what's going like amazing for other people and in the world, so that was a huge shift in the attitude around the house.
And prior to that, so this is what's interesting, Tyler, is prior to the new ground rules, you were doing gratitude work.
Yeah.
So you yourself were focusing on what's good. So Tyler also wanted to know, did you ever tell him about the coaching?
Oh, I eventually did.
Does he know about me?
Yeah, I eventually did. I did. But then like he's super supportive about this now. Like, he knows how much is important to me and how much it's really changed our lives.
Yeah. And that's exactly, you just answered her third questions, which was, and what are his thoughts about this now? Yeah. So now so our second time working together, now you're in the space, you're in this beautiful, rental that you have to make the rent every month, right? Like, and it was, as you said, mega rent from what you were used to. You moved from the moldy place to this place. And you also, I think it was at that time, if I remember correctly, Fabiana, was that the time that you did your first class ticket to Brazil?
Oh, yes.
So this is all like,
and I was in debt. I still was in debt. I haven't paid that debt yet when I bought that ticket.
Okay, then people need to hear this, because this is going to freak people out.
Mm.
Her debt, she still had debt. So she started with 6 figures. She's making money, but there was still debt. And now she's going to Brazil. She's been working on herself, on her self-image, how she shows up. It's time to buy the ticket. Economy is not feeling right.
Yeah.
Share that process, because I'm going to tell you, Fabiana, I know what would come up even in my mind when I first bought first class tickets. Oh my gosh, that's a lot for one seat. Maybe I'm little. Do I really need it? And I
Mm.
still have all of this debt. It's not responsible. Did you go through that?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
you
Oh, yeah.
did. Okay.
I did go through that, and in the end, the battle within was this, that, you know, like, why would I don't need this. Why would I spend this kind of money to go, like, to Brazil? But I said to myself, I'm worth it. I am bringing more and more and more, and there is even more available. So, and that's what I kept saying to myself. And then I bought the ticket. Um, my husband was like, "What? Are you going business class?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am. I am. I am doing this." And he was like, "What?" He was like, "What?" He didn't accept, But I said, "I'm doing this because it is, it's important for me to do this." And it was the best thing I did, because there I think I really solidified my self-image as a person that's worthy the good things in life,
Mhm.
the good things that I desire. I'm worthy of them, So, and that I think that was like when you, like, when you stamp something, like,
You
that was the stamp that,
sealed it.
yes, yeah, that sealed it for me. And then after that, I only travel business class now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting, because we say this, but it's what I was talking to a client that's just starting, that just signed up today. So Jody, if you're watching, look at what can happen in a matter of months. But I was saying to her, we can measure what we will lose, the thousands of dollars. We can, when we invest in something like this. But honestly, you can't measure what you can gain, because you do this work and you're coachable. It's beyond what you can even imagine. Like, the best that you can imagine isn't even what it will be.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. And this work has really shifted, like, how myself and my husband, we operate as a team. Like, how we, like, he has his business and I have mine. And even, like, how he does, like, his morning routine, like, and he does his affirmations, he does everything, so that we discuss that it's important for us to nurture our minds. And, like, what I'm mostly really proud of is that my son is watching us do this.
Yeah,
We're
tell
not
me
telling him.
what do you notice? What is your son picking up?
Oh, he sees that we've got our vision boards, that he sees that we're doing things, like, for ourselves, that we just not, like, talking about it. He sees that doing. Right now he's still 3.5, so he doesn't have the full understanding, but he's growing, seeing ourselves, feeling that we are worthy of those investments of time and money on our own growth. So I think this is the best education I can give him.
Fabiana, I think it's so true. Like, even, many times people will come in for their revenue. They want to improve their business. They want to make more money. And again, of course that happens. But then it's these kind of shifts, it starts to change what's happening in your home. It changes how you talk in your home, and these
Yeah.
morning routines. And I know I can also speak to that just personally in my own life, and that you feel like a team. You're communicating better because you are not denying what you want.
Mm,
So you also don't have to deny him what he wants.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
It is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Now let's get to the penthouse. You guys are going to love this story. So
Oh,
Fabiana and I would chat. We would have our sessions around this time because it's and even a bit earlier. So it was about 6:30 a.m. for Fabiana, and she would do gratitude walks. So gratitude has been a staple for her in
yeah.
her changing her self-image. And she would do gratitude walks. So many times we would be on a Zoom call and we would be outside and she would be at a park. But there
Yeah.
was a particular park that you would go to, and there was a particular building you would look at. Will you share this story?
Yes. Yes. Um, I started to in the program there is the productive actions that we got to start taking to really align ourselves to what we want. And I decided that gratitude walks, the walks of gratitude, was the thing for me to connect and be grateful and dream every day at the same time in the same spot. So, and that's what I used to do. So, and then the place that I actually used to walk is actually across the river there. If you can see, there's a boardwalk there. Can you see?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
So
Yes.
yeah, so I used to walk there and actually do a loop around this river. And the park is just there. See the green trees and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's the park that I used to sit there and I'll talk to you and then look at this building. And there's three buildings here. And I used to look at those buildings, sipping a cup of coffee and teletransporting myself up here and dreaming that I was sipping my coffee from the big balcony here. Now, in my self script, it starts like this: that I wake up in the morning and I walk into my balcony and I see a lake, a body of water, and I feel the wind, like stroking my face, and while I'm sipping my cup of coffee. So where I started this whole process, I was living in that tiny apartment, and I would go out there, and it was like, there's no water here. It's just like, and I'm like, I have to get out of here. And that's where the productive action came from actually doing the gratitude walk. So I said, I need to be like where my life script is.
Yeah.
And to me, it was like the stopping there at the hotel, sitting and sipping a cup of coffee. Then, I moved into the better place, and then now I'm here. So I kept, very faithful to my script, my life script, and feeling that feeling every day. And that's what I used to do. I'll sit there, sip a cup of coffee, and just like feel the wind and just pretend that I was here. So,
And you would, so here's the thing, guys. What Fabiana would do sometimes is she would pretend that she was in the penthouse looking at herself in the
yes.
park, like looking, like how she showed us the view right now. She would imagine that she would be able to somehow see herself across the lake or
Yeah.
across the water.
Yeah. At times, like I catch myself during the day actually doing these. I look at, because my desk is directly across the table that I used to sit. This is amazing, And I look there and I see myself sitting there looking back at me, and I just feel so much gratitude for persisting.
For persisting. So here's also what you guys need to know. First of all, whoops, put a heart or a like if you're enjoying this conversation, and remember, you can ask any questions. This penthouse was, again, not in your budget.
No.
I'm trying to think, like, how do I say it, as you said, mega bucks. Like this is like, we're talking seven figures. Like this is not a we're talking like it's a 2-floor penthouse in Brisbane.
Yeah.
We're not talking about just a big apartment.
No. Yes. Yeah.
And Go ahead.
The whole process to get us here, it was very, I wouldn't say it was just easy to begin with, because once like I wanted it, my husband wanted it, and paradigm kicks in, right? Paradigm kicks in, and we have to be persistent. And to the point, we were looking at other places, and we decided to put an offer on a different property. And that property got, like, they accepted the offer, but the bank declined. And I'm like, what the heck? That's not what? No, it does not make sense. And then I just felt that something was like the universe was trying to tell me something, and I just couldn't understand what it was. And um, then this place came up, and I was like, what? But nah, I was like just denying it. And then I just forgot about it. And this was in the market for quite some time. And then what happened? What started to happen? This is what's very interesting. So I was on the upper, because I used to live on the other side of the river, and my GPS started to tell me that I wasn't there. I was here on this side of the river. I'm not kidding you. This has happened, I would say, probably 15 times. My GPS started to tell me that I was on this address. And I'm like, yo, this cannot be, like, what? To the point that I ordered a couple of Uber.
Yeah.
And they were waiting for me here. And I'm like, no, yeah, yes.
Wow.
And I was like, and I wasn't getting the message. I was not getting the message. And then what happened was, one day I was with my husband in the car. We were going to see another property, the other side of the river. And I put in the GPS, and then again, calculating the trajectory from here. I'm like, no. And then my inner voice spoke to me. I actually heard myself say, like, the internal voice said to me, what is it going to take, Fabiana, for you to realize this? And I'm like, realize what? And then I'm like, oh, I should be on the other side of the river. And I'm like, okay, I got it. And then I booked to come here to view this place with my husband. And then when we came in, and it was like, yeah, it's this is the view I've always dreamed, that we've always dreamed, that the view that's it.
So Fabiana, when you walked into there, so now what I want you guys to know is, now Fabiana, we were working together for the third time in a year and a half. Fabiana, when you walked in, did your self-image accept that as your place immediately, or was there any disconnect, or not at all?
Not at all. It was like normal. I kid you not. This was like a really interesting experience. It was like it's normal. Like, it's hard to explain this, because it may sound like, oh, it's nothing. But no. It's because the persistence of being across that river every day, looking at it, like, for me, was just normal now. And it wasn't like the fireworks, and it's just like, oh, like it to me, it was like, it's normal. This is, and it's acceptance. And it's just, it's hard to explain this feeling, because it's a feeling of normal.
It's almost neutral, like.
Yes.
And
yeah.
Fabiana, what I want everyone to know is that, here's the thing. She didn't know how long it would take on her, like, but she had, when Fabiana is saying I was persistent, she was persistent in her faith and understanding the laws, because that's what we've been working on all of this time. And she had started to see some results, but it was 9 months. Now, she could have stopped at 7 months, not knowing that there were only 2 months left, or 8 months, or 8.5 months. So were there times, Fabiana, that you were like, I want to give up? Or by that point, with all the work that you had done, were you very committed to this goal?
Giving up, no. I'd never thought about giving up, but I thought about, what's interesting about this is that when the point that I got wasn't like I wanted to give up, and that's where I had to actually check in. like, should I be doing more? You know, is there more for me to do? Like, I think I text you a few times. I'm like, I think I need to do more, you know, like, you know, because it's not happening. Like, I think I need to do more. What more can I do? Right. And then you asked me, like, how do you feel? I felt like, and then I checked in like really deeply, and I thought, oh, you know, like, I feel very solid. It's coming. Like, and then you said, like, you know, just rest in that feeling, you know.
I
And
know. I love it because people are used to, yes, go do 5 emails, do strategy. I'm like, go have a nap and relax and enjoy the feeling because that's your indicator you're close.
that's it. Yes. Yeah. And that was a very, very good, because, you know, sometimes we just want to just do stuff, like, you know, to kind of pacify the ego or whatever we call it, you know, like, I must be doing something, otherwise it does not mean that I'm working on it,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
And that was like a thing for me, that in the end I had to make sure I wasn't pushing, in sense. I had to, like, you know, just rest in the knowing and the belief that it's done. I just have to line up with, continually lining up with it.
And you also noticed, well, the universe kind of did have to beat you over the head with it and like shout at you
Yes.
at times.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is Fabiana is in one of our elite masterminds with 3 other people. And all of the other participants have already have a foundation in this work. They've done the work. In fact, Leanne says, hi, Fabiana. She's watching you on Facebook now. And you mentioned the street address. Now, you hadn't bought it yet. You'd mentioned the street address, and then somebody in the mastermind group in Canada is like, oh my gosh, like that address for her, she had a connection to that exact address. So it was like, as you were, it kept showing up. Now let's get to the money. Who wants to hear about the money and how a bank that said no to a property that wasn't that much, how she managed to swing this? Let me know if you want to hear that. And as people do, because I know there's a delay on Facebook, Joshua says, well, first of all, Tyler says 3 feet from gold, as far as the waiting out the time until it happens. And Joshua says it's so important to make sure you aren't using the intention from a place of trying to satisfy a feeling of ego significance. It makes so much sense. Thank you. So he thanks you for that. So you're being slapped upside the head with this placing. This is your home. You now come to see it. Doesn't change the price now that you're in it.
Yeah.
What happened next for you? Like, where did you go?
Because at that point there, the money wasn't the question anymore. It was more of like we knowing that this is what we wanted to do. It you know, like that. But this is what it's so interesting is, like, for me, it was, I think my expectation was that it's going to take longer, and it was just there, and it's like, here it is, and it's I'm thinking like, but really, wait, really, you know, and then when I came in, that's when everything was, oh yeah, it's done, it's normal. But it's like my brain took a while to catch up, and then at that point, like it was just like it was already done. It's no other way to explain this, because the bank already had all our details and everything. So.
And was it just accepted right away? Because this was quite a much bigger property than you were thinking of before.
Yes.
So why do you think, I mean, obviously now we can look back that of course the bank declined you before because of this. But
Yes.
were you surprised that there was no issue for this and there was for something that was less?
No, I wasn't surprised, because the universe told me to come here. It was like the GPS for the GPS to tell me that I was here. Like, it's like, really, because, you know, the GPS tells you where you are and shows you, like, you know, where you are and then where you want to go, and then put the trajectory to where you're going, you know, like, and then you get the directions. And it was giving me directions from this address. It was really bizarre. It wasn't making sense. And I made a mistake a couple of times, like ordering Ubers, you know, to me, like at that point, this is how the universe works. And it's just once that's lined up, everything lines up. Everything. Like I was thinking like this place would be like heaps of people coming wanting to view, like people putting heaps of offers and blah blah. No, that was just us. Just us. My sister wants to buy an apartment now. She can't find it because there isn't one. I said to her, line up in the universe will show up, give you one. There will be no competition. It's just
You
it's
know what
so
this says? Speaks to like what is meant for you. If you've claimed it, like what is yours is yours.
yes,
What is
yes.
yours? That it wasn't anyone else's.
Yeah, yeah. And at that point, like this is what it's interesting, right? Because we try to work it out everything, and for the other house I had to work out the money. I had to like do all of this stuff, and it was like very stressful, like very stressful it was, because I don't know what happened, but we decided to go to the Gold Coast, and then it wasn't like it wasn't meant to be, because this place was what already was lined up. And yeah, and the thing for me is, I would say that money is never the issue. Never. Never.
Say more about that, Fabiana. What do you mean money is never the issue? Because people are watching this going, how can money is always the issue? I cannot do things because I don't have money. So how can you say that?
I know. So it's money is, now that I've gone through this whole journey, money is never the issue, because money is just energy and it will show up if you make a decision that's what you want.
Yeah.
And when I made the decision for the things that I wanted, the money showed up. And I kid you not, like it's almost like magic, like unicorns and like ponies and stuff like that. But it really is, if you really open the heart and feel this. And money will just be like a matter of another thing that will come together, like people, money,
Yes.
properties and deals and so on, like the right coach, and everything will come together because you made the decision that you're worthy and your dream is worthy of you. So
And Fabiana, there's people on this call. I know there are people watching this that are like, oh, I want to invest, I want to do this, but the money, you were there, you were in debt for 150,000 and you decided to do it. I mean, obviously I know the answer probably to this, but if I charged you double, would you do it
oh
that
yes,
first time? Looking
yeah,
back. Yeah.
over and over again,
So I
over
love
and
that
over
because it's a
again.
question I ask when I'm talking to people, and I say to them, I go, what result would you want to get that you would say, Hina, if I knew, I would have paid you double?
Mhm.
And because the truth is, they're going to get that result and more.
Yeah,
And
and more.
it changes your relationship. So if there's anybody on the call right now that you're like, I want to know, I want to be a part of this, I want I want what Fabiana has, and I want that view. We're going to drop the link of how to sign up. And really, as Fabiana said, money is not the issue, the partner is not the
Mhm.
issue.
Mhm.
The issue is there's only one question, is do you want it?
Yeah.
And if the answer is yes, you click the link and you do it. If the answer is no, you don't do it,
Mm-hmm.
because your guidance, that inner feeling, is not going to lead you wrong. Now, you've got to get that first one, that first feeling. So if the first feeling is yes, don't be surprised if like minutes later it's drowned out with all of the reasons that you can't, because that paradigm fights dirty.
Does, yes, yeah, yeah. It's yeah, and it's for me the decision to get to, when I say like money was never the issue, because it never was, because if it was I would have never done this, because I was in debt.
Yeah.
If money was the issue, I would have never done this, because I would have never invested myself. I would have never paid anything like for, like, really to get myself out of where I was. And the interesting thing about all of this is that seeing myself as the best investment
Mm,
in my life, it's actually like really like makes me even emotional about this. Realizing that I am the best investment and the best return I'll ever get in this entire life, it's pretty amazing, you know.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
I have one last question for you. I know that, everyone has enjoyed this immensely, and you guys can catch, some of you guys are watching the replay right now. So Fabiana, um, what was it like the first morning that you woke up in the penthouse?
Ah, it was it was it was surreal. It was like it was amazing, and it just felt so good and normal. And as soon as I looked across the water, and I remember myself sitting in the morning, sipping the coffee, and then looking at myself, now looking back at me, it was quite surreal to see that everything I ever held in my mind happened. It really happened. Everything I held in my mind in that little coffee shop happened. And I was now physically standing in my bedroom and looking at it. It's just so cool to see this, like really, like now touch and feel it, and once it was just in my imagination. I love this. It was just in my imagination.
To this and more, Fabiana, and more, because there's infinite,
Yes,
limitless.
yes, yes. Yesterday I had an impulse to go downstairs with my mom and have a croissant and have a coffee. And whilst I was there, I had an insight. I had a vision of what's coming. It's so cool. It
Oh
is
God.
so cool. I said to my mom, and she was like, wow. I said, yeah, mom, like, this is another thing. Like, I'm gonna believe it. I'm gonna embrace it. I'm gonna start acting as if. It's gonna
Guys,
be cool. Oh my God.
Jesus, $150,000 in debt when you decide to start working with me. As your son said, the smelly apartment in the
Yes.
penthouse. And how cool is it? Like, I've got chills that you could, what you can do for your mom.
Yes. 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 And my sister, like,
And your sister and your family. Like, this is what I don't think
yeah,
people get. It's like, this is not
yeah,
like, it doesn't stay with you.
no. My sister, this is another story, how the cause and effect, how this has caused her as well to shift.
Yeah.
She moved to Australia because of me talking to her, and like, the work that I was doing, she wanted to do. So then she's doing with someone who speaks Portuguese. She doesn't speak fully English, she's doing someone in Brazil, you know and so she's doing that work in herself as well. And now, like, she's here, she realized her dream, and it's just amazing, like, all of this, because I started to talk to her, she got inspired, and then she then decided to do the same, invest in herself.
I think what happens, Fabiana, is that you, we give other people unconscious permission to start to dream and do the same. And those are the people that you know of, like your family. But there are so many people, Fabiana, that by you stepping into your power, that you are inspiring every day that you're not even aware of.
Yeah, so glad that I can do that for other people, because like we're so worthy, and we got so much potential and amazingness to experience in this world, that, yeah, whatever way I can inspire people, it's amazing.
You're incredible, Fabiana.
Thank
So listen,
you.
guys, if you have questions for Fabiana or anything, just put it in the chat. I'll be sure to tag her. There'll maybe a time difference because Fabiana is in Australia. Um, I just feel so blessed. I get to continue to work with you, Fabiana. I mean, for me, this is such a delight. This is such a delight. And guys, we've never met in person.
Yes.
But Fabiana, you better be ready for like the biggest hug of your life.
Yay.
When we
Yay.
meet in person.
Yes.
Because it will happen, and I can't wait for that moment. But thank you so much for doing this. Like, just so
You're
much love
welcome.
for you, Fabiana.
You.
And I know that you touched every single person that has listened to this and will be listening to it. So thank you so much. I know it's early morning for you.
No problem. Thank you so much, Ina. I have extreme gratitude in my heart for you and for the work that you do and the work that we continue to do together. It's so inspiring, and I thank you every day for being who you are, being the best coach, and it's just so, so amazing to have you in my life.
Oh, thank you,
Thank you.
Fabiana. We'll talk soon. Have a great day.
Yes, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.